Greetings, this is Brandon again, going to do a demonstration of how to connect to our SkillBoss logistics trainer, both the HMI program that will be utilized and the PLC program that will be utilized. I will only be demonstrating the main program, how to connect to it, and the functionality of the trainer itself and what it's used for. So when you're on the desktop, on the instructor station here, there's a few different ways you can get to the programs and the documents. The best way to do it is go ahead and open up your File Explorer folder here. And it is all located, I have a shortcut to it, but I'm going to do it long form just so you guys know where to go when you log into this trainer for the first time. But if you go into the Windows C, you'll see a folder, a series of folders here that are in your C drive. We are going to go into the users folder, then we are going to go to the public folder, and then we are going to go to public documents, and you'll see a folder here that says Amatrol. If I double click that, you'll notice there's this link to a folder that says logistics trainer in hyphens there. So with those being there, that should tell us exactly where we need to go. So if we double click here, you'll see how the folder is organized. So you have SkillBoss Logistics Drawings. If we click here, these are all of your drawings you may need. There's the network layout, power, pneumatics, everything that goes along with this trainer. You will need those for the troubleshooting labs when you get into the Fault Pro later. But the full HMI and PLC program for Factory Talk View 13, that is where we're going to go. And you'll see HMI for main program and then full logistics trainer PLC program. Again, these are two separate things. One of them is the actual PLC program that we're going to download into this trainer, and the other one is the HMI touchscreen. Even though it's not really touchscreen, we still have to use a mouse, but it will be displayed on the large TV behind us. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to double click the trainer, and you're always going to use the main one. You should say SkillBoss Logistics Trainer version 13. So if I double click this, it's going to take a minute for this to open, but when it does, one of the things to remember, and one of the good rules I like to do is when I have students working, is I like to make them do a file and save as after they download the program, and then add like an underscore and their initials or like lab 1 to it. That way it leaves this main program we download to it intact, and we'll create a second file with that name associated just for them students. And they can save it to the desktop, whatever. I just want to make sure that we still have a good intact program to use, which I have a backup in my thumb drive, and that's in my file cabinet. So you will have that available as well. So now we're just waiting for the Studio 5000 to open. And I know these computers are super fast, so bear with me. All right, so we have the PLC program up on the large TV at the back of the classroom. You can leave this view, or you can move it to the other PC monitor and then move the HMI here. It doesn't really matter, but since this is a demonstration, we're going to use the big TV. So the program for the PLC has now opened. Now this is the default program. This is what we want to use. So we're going to download this to the PLC. So hit this little drop down here and hit download. It's going to ask me to select the download path. And remember, when you're doing a PLC, you're downloading from the computer to the PLC. And if you do an upload, you're pulling from the PLC to the computer. So we always download when we open up the default program, so it overwrites whatever program is in the PLC itself. So we're going to go ahead and download. And you should hear click on the PLC. It's basically saying it's downloading. It's overwriting whatever program is on there. This takes about 20 seconds. It's going to ask if I want to switch it into, there it is, done downloading, change it back to remote run. Yes, and the reason we use remote run is so we can make edits while we're online during the troubleshooting labs. So now you'll see that we're all green up here. We're in remote run mode. We're in run mode. The controller and the IO are both okay. So we are good to go having this PLC program up and running. So if you don't want to open up the HMI program, If you open up the main program here, you'll see main routine, and then you'll see all these subroutines. Without getting too complicated, we'll just go into the main routine, and you'll see your ladder logic here. Now I'll blow this up a little bit so you can get a little bit better of a view, but you'll see the control power is off, it's not green, and you'll see the start button is also off. What I can do is walk over to the trainer and hit the control power button, the big green button right on the front. Now it is energized. So one way to start the trainer is I could just right click here and toggle this bit, or use Control T, and then just toggle, make sure you toggle it back off so it doesn't stay on. The auto run will seal it in and keep it running. And then it'll be good to go on scanning and operating itself. Throughout this program here, there's just all kinds of different things. There's the induction roller, subroutine, induction conveyor. Each section of the SkillBoss trainer has its own name, and you'll see that when we get into the HMI program later. But all of these, the sorter, the scanner, the pick and place, all these are different components on the trainer itself. So I always stress to the students when we're doing troubleshooting labs, like say their scanner's not working, where do they probably want to start? They probably want to start in the scanner subroutine. So you may insert like dummy bits in here to keep it from scanning. Just something for the students to track down during the troubleshooting lab if you're doing program faults and also physical faults. These are just some ideas that you can run with. But anyway, if you toggle this button, it will start the logistics trainer, but we are going to do it with the HMI. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this real quick. And all right, so I just showed you the PLC program, which was in the full logistics PLC program. Now we're going to open up the HMI window, and it should say RSU ME station file. If I double click this, it's going to pull the operational HMI program up on the computer screen. So I'm just going to double click, and this will take a minute to open. And once this fully opens, I will demonstrate how to start the SkillBoss trainer. Okay, so once the HMI file opens, you might get a couple of prompts that say like, oh, are you sure you want to open this application file? Just hit yes on those. But then you'll get to this screen here that says current application. Notice it'll have the same file name of the one we double clicked. And all you have to do is hit run application, and it will run that application. Now it's going to take another minute to load because this software is super quick. All right, so when the program opens after you hit run application, you'll be at this window here. It gives you several different ways for the system to be viewed while it's operating. The primary thing we'll be doing on here, we'll be focusing on right now, is the 3D overview. This is the easiest way to navigate the system and then watch each individual section while it's running. So if I double click this 3D overview, you'll see right now it says system idle, and you'll have a bunch of numbers over here. I can hit reset on those to go ahead and change those all back to 0. But on this screen, each of these areas are actually clickable. So the rework station up here, if I double click it, it will actually take me to a snapshot of the rework station, and you can actually see the live statuses of the sensors. So we have an optical sensor over here, and we have a DC circulator motor over here, which is 0 because it's off. And our sensor, which is wired normally closed, is going to be on. But if I go put my hand in front of it, you'll see on the screen that 1 will actually change to a 0 as I'm moving my hand in front of it. So it actually gives you live feedback of what the sensor statuses are. Later on, when I hit system start, if I go back into this screen, this 0 will be a 1 if it has a rework moving toward it. So I'll go back to the previous screen, and go back to the 3D overview. And I will go ahead and hit the system start button. As long as your control power is on, which it was as I demonstrated in the PLC program, you should hear the system fire up and run. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the system start button, and you should hear some conveyors start running. And now we are in business. Next, I will be demonstrating a function of how it runs and demonstrate 4 boxes running through the system. Okay, So these are the boxes here that have these little barcodes on them that the barcode scanner located right here is going to snap a photo of, and it is going to sort them according to the barcodes. 1, 2, or 3. Or if you put it on there upside down, it will discard it to the rework station. That will then make it flip over, and then you have to hit the button to get it started again, which will demonstrate that at the end. But first I'm going to load a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3. And it doesn't really matter how they're oriented. So there, number 1 scan, and once that passes through, the other one will move on. Now we'll move over to the sorting area so you guys can see them actually sort. So you now see the number 1 box there. Now the number 2 box has gone into the second slot. And next, the number 3 box will be picked up by the pick and place and sorted into the number 3 spot. We think we have another number 2 coming down here, but I am going to load a box upside down with no barcode. And this one will go to the top section over here. There's a lift, and it will be reworked, and I will demonstrate that momentarily. Once it reaches the optical sensor I showed earlier, it will stop. I will walk over here, flip it, hit the green button, and it will continue on and sort itself out. So sometimes they will get stuck. Might have to just give it a little nudge. And I believe this is a number 2, so it should sort in the second little system there. There she goes. And that is how the system operates. So you'll notice up here the yellow light is blinking. Anytime there is something sitting at the rework station, or one of these sensors are made because it's full, like this one is now, you'll get that yellow light indicating that there is a potential for a fault or a system collision. All right, so now we're back to the HMI screen over here, and you'll see there's other options. There's like the main menu option. That's how we'll shut down the program here in a moment. Line speed. We can control how fast the conveyor's running. System running is just saying, hey, the system is up and running. System pause will pause it. We can stop the cycle, which we'll go ahead and probably do that right now. So it's going to stop the cycle once the next one that passes through goes through. But we're actually just going to go ahead and do a system stop. Kind of tired of hearing it running anyway. And then, just to general navigation purposes, the alarm screen, there's nothing displayed right now because there is no alarms. But we can go back to the main menu here. We can go back to the main menu from 2 places, the alarm screen and then also the 3D and 2D overview. But once we're here, we can just shut down. That will close us out. And then we can actually just close everything out and go back. Again, that's in the HMI program, and the PLC program is located under Full Logistics Trainer PLC program. Thanks.